I recently made a video about Battlefield 4 and also Battlefield 2042, so I felt that it was also necessary to check out how BF5 is doing in 2023 and if the game is still worth playing. I do remember that I wasn't that happy after I had played the Battlefield 5 beta back in 2018. The game was a step forward in another direction, you might say, from former games such as BF4, for good and for bad, depending on what you enjoy and like the most with the Battlefield game. I didn't really enjoy some of the BF5 maps. They felt a bit flat and sometimes even small when playing the larger conquest mode compared to before. I guess that 2018 was also a year when Battlefield and Call of Duty got a bit closer to each other in a way, meaning Call of Duty presenting a larger map game mode such as Blackout Battle Royale and Battlefield moving a bit closer to a Call of Duty concept to a certain degree. But foremost, BF5's grinding system was slow and tedious, and it took almost forever to unlock stuff, and it also felt as if the weapon balance was left a bit off when DICE later moved the resources over to the creation of BF 2042 and also continued to develop Star Wars Battlefront 2. At least there was a time in the Battlefield 5 development cycle where they changed the TTK quite some as well, back and forth. But Battlefield 5 is per se not a bad game, and I have had more fun now playing some Battlefield 5 in 2023 compared to how I experienced the game after launch in September 2018. I believe it's a kind of a combination of changes made in the game over time that contributes to that experience, but also the fact that we can now put BF5 in another kind of context and comparison, since BF 2042 is the latest title out there. And even though I played Battlefield 2042 recently with all the new updates and fixes, it doesn't come near to the experience I got when coming back to Battlefield 5. So if Battlefield 5 was a step forward into something partly new compared to what we had before regarding Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, Battlefield 2042 felt like dropping into an almost completely different universe of a game compared to the former titles mentioned. I think it simply means that the core gameplay is still Battlefield per definition when it comes to Battlefield 5, and I believe that's also why it felt good for me when launching the game once more, after I recently uninstalled Battlefield 2042 once more. But Battlefield 5 has though been going quite strong despite initial controversies and backlashes. The game has quite a pretty good player base when we look at it, which you can see here. At the end of 2022 into the new year of 2023, there was around 10 to 16,000 players on average playing BF5. There's been a bit of a loss of players recently after that, but the game has an average of around 8k players the last 30 days. Battlefield 2042, being the newest game in the series, has, you might say, only around 11k players on average, which is an increase over the last months, most likely due to updates and improvements being made recently. So with that knowledge, I believe we're pretty safe to say that Battlefield 5 still has a somewhat healthy player base in 2023, and it's therefore definitely a Battlefield game that you should consider to play, especially if you're hesitating buying Battlefield 2042, or if you're just tired of that concept and game overall. Then Battlefield 5 can feel a bit like a fresh breeze, at least it did that for me. I usually play as a sniper in most FPS games, and Battlefield 5 is no exception. And I did enjoy coming back to some sniping in the game as well. It was a nice break also sniping in this game compared to some other shooters I've been covering recently on my channel. However, there was some scandals surrounding Battlefield 5 as hinted before, and I guess a lot of people in the Battlefield community also got disappointed when DICE announced that they would stop supporting Battlefield 5. Especially the players that had already invested a significant amount of time into the game. Maybe if you're one of those guys and you left BF5 eventually and had not had a thought either to return to the game, well, let me then know what you think about this situation in the comments. It is clear though that the community also started to get a bit divided when it comes to opinions regarding a game such as Battlefield 5 when it was released and also after the release, since we on one half had players that have been playing the series from the start maybe, or almost from the start, that wasn't too happy about the development of the franchise and wanted to be blown away again with something fresh and new almost, in the same manner or way as when they maybe watched the Battlefield 3 trailer and gameplay for the first time. And on the other half, we're having the newcomers that maybe are picking up a Battlefield game for the first time and therefore don't react about the design changes as much as the first group of players mentioned. It's a pretty natural thing though. I've seen similar thoughts and discussions on forums when it comes to old versus new Call of Duty games as well. But is it fun or worth to play Battlefield 5 in 2023? Well, it depends on the former experiences mentioned and also your budget when it comes to buying new games, or an old game for that sake. I am from Sweden and I just checked out and saw that it's possible to get Battlefield 5 right now for as low as 11 euros on PC. And maybe you can find an even lower price where you live. Let me know if that's the case. There's quite a lot of player value, I have to say though, when looking back into games such as Battlefield 5, considering that you'll be able to play a single player that will last for about 6 hours and quite a multiplayer experience when it comes to all the game modes to choose from. If you like them, of course. But personally, if I would have to choose between Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 5, I would choose either Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 4, depending on the era you want to play, like Modern Warfare versus World War I. With that said, I would like to hear from you as well, what experiences or thoughts you have when it comes to playing Battlefield 5 or the Battlefield series overall. And if you're new to my channel and if you like FPS gaming, consider to subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out when I'm posting a new video. With that said, my friends, thanks a lot for watching, have a nice day, later.